Good morning, everyone. Bright and early. How's everyone today? You can unmute yourselves if you like, or you can post questions in the chat box. Good morning, Sandra, Carrie, and Susan so far. We're waiting for Lady Steno to log on. Today is Friday. So I know, Carrie, you're a reporter. Sandra and Susan, are you students or reporters or captioners? Right. So we have two students. Well, while we're waiting for Katiana, who is Lady Steno, I'll just tell you a little bit about her. She's a reporter from Florida, and she produces or puts on these speed clinics, which are good for anybody, reporters or students. And they're really, really great. She gets you after the 3 days, you're just writing so fast or so much better that students will be passing tests like crazy, and reporters will be having cleaner transcripts. All right, well, let me just pause here for a second, and we will get started in just a minute. All right, so can you tell me, any of you, what's your biggest challenges right now as a student or a reporter who wants to retire?
Can't think of anything right now.
I know passing tests for students is probably a big one. Obviously, you want to pass your tests and get going there, get to the qualifiers so you can take any sort of state test you might have. In our case here in California, it's a CSR. All right, there's Olivia, and there is Katiana, Lady Steno. So welcome all. Some questions in the box right now. Dealing with attorneys who think averaging high speeds proves how smart they are. Yes, indeed, those attorneys. All right, so Katiana is here, and she is Lady Steno. She produces and puts on these speed clinics, which are really, really great. I think we all should attend them. Katiana, welcome. Let's make sure you're unmuted. Yes, you are.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm so glad to be here. This is a really cool, for us, the students and the working reporters, and Laura, for all of us to meet here. I'm just trying to figure out my audio. I just want to make sure there's no echo.
It sounds really great from here, from
Okay, cool.
my end.
Okay, cool.
So I have a chat box going, and if I've asked them if they can post questions there or unmute themselves. If you miss any, I'll try to pipe in and let you know that you've got a question there.
Okay.
So can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, how long you've been reporting and how you keep your love affair with reporting alive?
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay. I've been reporting for 12 years now, and I wasn't always in love with it. It was something my parents forced me to do when I was still in high school. And I continue to love it because I love being a freelance reporter, and then I love the machine. I love the fact that I was able to go to school for under 2 years and am able to really make a good living, and I don't have to work as hard, what it seems like to me, as hard as other people, including attorneys, because I didn't have to go to school for that long. I don't have student loans. And I mean, I just love it. It's what we have to do. And meaning court reporting is the only thing I'm really trained to do. So it's not like, oh, I'm not going to be a court reporter anymore. I'm going to be a beautician. So it's almost like I can either hate what I do or I can love it and think about all the positives about it. And that's what keeps me into this. And, I also believe that our future, we have a really long future, meaning they will be using court reporters 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, but we have to be the best court reporters we can be, so to fight getting replaced. So that also gives me the motivation to be the best that I can be, and to help others be the best that they can be. Because if you have other court reporters who are not doing that great, but you're doing great, then they're gonna mess up the industry for you. So that's why it's important that we meet like this and get together and help out each other so that we can be the best court reporters or stenographers,
I do agree, and that's a really good. I wish everybody had that perspective. I do run into a lot of reporters who are kind of burned out, even students who are kind of burned out. And absolutely, the way that I keep it fresh is by always practicing and striving to be the best I can be, just like you. And that's one reason I came across you, was I saw your clinics. So can you tell us a little bit about your clinics?
Okay, so yes, I host speed clinics. They're what I call speed clinics. It's a 3-day workshop only in person. And the purpose behind that is for all participants to leave knowing how to write more than 3,000 phrases in one stroke. Which sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. However, it's taught systematically, where you don't realize, like, wow, I can't believe I've already learned this much and I'm able to read it back. And so it's based on the principles of active training, accelerated learning, and it's really designed so that when you leave, you can write shorter. So the shorter that you write, the faster you write. So a lot of students, they love jury charge and they love car accident cases. The real reason behind that is because they use briefs, they use phrases, and it's easier for them to pass those tests. So now what if I could make your entire career, all of your tests, your lit test, your Q&A test, all of them feel like a jury charge, like an easy jury charge. So that the phrases that are taught were selected so that anything that you write, every other sentence for sure, you will encounter one of the phrases that are being taught at the speed clinic. And it's really fun. I think that's the coolest part. It's really fun, and there's only six stenographers. I've had a theory student and a real-time reporter in the same speed clinic. But since it's a new concept to everybody, everybody's able to learn. So, and it's all of the outlines are directly from the Magnum Steno theory. But since I learned stenograph theory before, and I've dabbled in other theories, I was able to select these 3,000 plus phrases to be sure that no matter what theory you came from, there will not be any conflicts, or the likelihood of conflicts is extremely low. Most participants who come to the speed clinic have zero conflicts, and they're able to implement these new phrases into their writing, within 2 days. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is great. I really believe in phrasing, and especially I started out practicing small word phrases, and that alone made such a big difference in my being able to write cleaner and faster. Can you give us an example of maybe some of the phrases you might teach somebody at this clinic?
Okay, sure. So for every day of the speed clinic, I start with what most people already know. So on the first day, we start with what I call PAM phrases. So PAM phrases involve a pronoun, an auxiliary verb, and then a main verb. So many of us will brief, I don't know, or I don't remember. But as soon as the attorney says, you don't recall, or you didn't remember, we freeze up because we know we don't have a phrase for that. So on day one, I will go through all these pronouns, you, he, she, we, and they, and with the auxiliary verbs, can't, don't, didn't, doesn't, couldn't, all it, and then we also do right hand phrases. So I couldn't feel, we couldn't go to, she didn't believe. And so those are some phrases like that. And everything is super systematic that by the end of day one, which is only 4 hours, I know that you will be able to read back all of on day one, it's like, excuse me, day one, I think you learn about 680 phrases. You will be able to read all of those back because of how it's taught. And for instance, on day three, a lot of us, or many of us, are familiar with using SKP for and. So we will make phrases with SKP for and. So, and you had, and you saw, and you needed, and you went. But then also I built from that, and we're able to build phrases with the word because I felt, because I didn't, because you do, and then phrases with but if, but did that, but did, let me try to think of another phrase. But you felt, just a lot of phrases. And those are some examples, but everything is phrases. A few of the words can be used independently as briefs, but most of them are phrases because I just want every participant to really leave and feel that their writing has transformed.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I can see how that would totally work. And I actually know from experience that some of those phrases are great, but I don't have all of them. So that's great. I think I would totally benefit from your clinic. Does anybody have any questions yet? Go ahead and type some questions in the box, and we'll make sure that Lady Steno gets them. Do you have a particular way or something that you teach of how to keep all these phrases fresh in our minds?
Oh, so for once you attend the speed clinic, everything that you get is designed for the speed clinic. So you'll receive finger drills, which we work on in the clinic, but you also receive dictation. So the first dictation that you'll use and that you'll have to take home is part of the PAM phrases. So we work with the I couldn't, I didn't, I don't, I can't, and then you couldn't, you didn't, but just the pronouns I and you. So you'll have a 1.5 minute dictation just drilling those 8 phrases. And so you'll have that to work on. And then eventually by day 3, you don't even need that part because you've already got day 1 pretty unpacked. But you have a binder that you take with you that has more than, I think it's like 90 something pages of very helpful worksheets and diagrams to help you remember. You also have, what is it else that you have? The finger drills will help as well, but you have all the tools that you need to master the phrases and even the dictation. So the dictation, we even have Q&A dictation that you will take home with you, that it's just 90% of the dictation is only the phrases that we worked on in the speed clinic. And you have directions on how to master each master each concept. And the thing is, to keep it fresh it's just that you hear these phrases all the time that it's going to be in your head. You're going to hear it, so it's not like a phrase or a brief really that you could have learned 2 months ago, and now you hear it again. It's like, oh my gosh, what was the brief for that? No, this is something you're hearing these phrases seriously every other sentence. And there are speed clinics in other cities. I haven't decided where I'm going to go after Orlando, but there have been, last year there was California, Atlanta, and New York.
Great. I also will say that most of the software programs that we use, our CAT software, will remind you if you write out you didn't know, and you have that phrase, it'll remind you. So it's also
Absolutely.
a way of remembering the new phrases that you will learn.
Right. And then another thing too is that there's a Facebook group where for people, once they've, I guess, graduated from the speed clinic, they are allowed to be part of this group, and I post briefs daily. I post my hesitation word list with all different types of phrases. So the learning continues. And another thing is that everybody who attends the speed clinic, if they ever needed help with a certain word, I tell me that you need help with this concept so that I can create more worksheets for you, that I can create dictation for you, whatever you need for me to do so that you can master it, let me know. And so let's say someone says, hey, I really need help with phrases that start with because. So I'll create a dictation for them. I'll have it in Q&A format. I'll give them the hard copy. And then I also send that same dictation to everybody else who's already attended the speed clinic. And then I make it part of any future speed clinic. So there's just a wealth of materials to help you master the concepts.
And so sounds like you're always growing. It's always growing, and you're taking more real life examples that people have given you.
Right. Always growing. Like, I mean, my mom says that I'm working on it too much, but I mean, even if you went to the speed clinic a year ago and you're going to come to it in 2 years from now, I can tell you it's going to be different. I mean, it's going to be the same concept, but just always improving and with more and more materials. And was I big on briefs in school? I was big on briefing in school, but I didn't know about phrasing. So I got big on phrasing once I returned to school after working for 5 years. I went to the Magnum Steno, Mark Kislingberry Court Reporting Academy in Houston because I just wanted to be faster and better. So I left for 9 months and attended his school and just learned his entire theory. So I was able to transform my theory into his. And that's how I became really big on phrasing. And then my clinics are never online. It's always in person. And that's probably the way it's always going to be. It was a huge task to just create the 3-day workshop. And when you're in person, there's a lot of activities that we do, a lot of teamwork activities or one-on-one activities that you do with the other participants. And you know that there's no more distractions. Like, we're in this conference room, it's just us, and all we're focused on is the speed clinic and learning these phrases, and go to your hotel room and then you practice. And it's just like a 3-day, like a real boot camp. And if you take the speed clinic Monday through Wednesday, there are court reporters and there are students who start implementing it, the phrases by Friday, some of the phrases. There has been a student, she took the speed clinic and she left. The last day of the speed clinic was on Saturday. She passed a 225 test on Tuesday. So it's a commitment that you make. And I'm telling you, your mind is going to be blown. You're going to wonder, why were you never taught steno this way? And I don't even know why steno hasn't been taught this way, but hopefully I start a revolution. I look forward to, I guess, competition or competitors so that there could be more people educating reporters in a way that really makes us better. The typical hours of the 3-day clinic is either you're in a morning session, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., or you're in the afternoon session, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And whatever session you pick, you stick to that session, and you're either in class from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
How many hours a day do you, or hours a day, or how much time every day do you practice personally?
Me, I've started this last 2 weeks. I've been practicing about 75 minutes a day. I always break down my life in 25-minute sessions. So I practice for 25 minutes, and then I take a 5-minute break, and 25 minutes again, and then 5-minute break, and then 25 minutes again. On days where I'm really lucky, I get to practice twice a day. And lately, since I've been focused so much on the speed clinics and such, I haven't been working as a reporter as much. But when I do work, they are real-time jobs. So it's imperative that I keep my skill, on fleek, as basically as clean as I can be and as fast as I can be. So I do practice daily. But I'm focused really on shortening my writing more than anything. So there's a lot. I use the Case Catalyst has the brief it reminder. Mm-hmm. So when I go to jobs, I will always then save the brief it reminder, which is an Excel sheet that shows all the words that I did not brief or I did not write, that I wrote out. And I sort it by frequency. And then I start working from that list, and I practice that list. And I sort those out by 27 words for each day. So that's how I've been practicing lately. I always do finger drills. Always. I love finger drills.
Do you? See, now when I was in court reporting school, I hated them, and I barely did them. I did like the minimum that I had to do. But
I used to not like them, but once I remember there was like this one test. I think it was a 200-word mid-printed test, and I passed that test. And I remember that I passed it because of my finger drills. And I remember that just because I remember like muscle memory. I remember making that combination while I was practicing, and I was like, oh my gosh, finger drills work, Right. And you can practice finger drills while listening to music. So
true.
That's why I love it. Like I could just be listening to my, my favorite songs and then just be doing the drills.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a very good point. Do you have any finger drills that you would be willing to give our listeners here? My recent clinic I did, or my recent student challenge webinar, I was asked for if I knew of any good places where there were finger drills. And also you've got a question there. Can you recommend a few finger drills?
Okay,
do you have any one-page finger drills you might be willing to give us here?
Sure. I do have something. I don't know how pretty it looks. I do have something though. I have what I would recommend, and I got this actually in court reporting school. So there's that little green book. I think it's called Stenotype Finger Exercises. And the copy of it is on Facebook of the Encouraging Court Reporting Students group. But what my teacher did, she made them into a one-page file. And that one-page file is what I practice. So I don't practice that anymore because now it's just too easy. It's not even a challenge, but it was hard for me for a while. So, but I have little notes on it. I don't know if I could remake something, but yeah, I could send you something, Laura, so that you could send to the listeners. But
right.
that finger drill, I remember at the top, it says that just with diligent practice, many stenotypists have been able to increase their speed by 20 to 40 words per minute in a week. And wow. I would just read that over and over. And when it's time for me to practice that, and I know it helped. Because so many times, it's really the dexterity issue. The brief, you could identify it if you saw it on paper, but how quickly could you stroke it, which is really the most important part. And, sometimes you just can't stroke it because, your fingers are not able to form that shape. And that's even a reason why in the speed clinics, we have finger drills every single day that, are just designed for the participants to be able to make these shapes without thinking of what the words are. So yeah, I will. I've made a note and I will send something.
Great, that'd be great, and I will send them out to anyone who would like them when I get them. So any other questions? I think this is all really great stuff, and I would like to post in the chat box your sign up for your clinic in Florida.
Okay, I
Yeah.
could I'll type it for stenospeedclinic.com,
Okay.
and then there's a lot of information on there, but you could always use the contact us button or contact button, and it emails me directly and I will get back to you ASAP.
Okay, great. And then just, do you, when do you think you might be posting some other places that you will be having this speed clinic?
I know I should probably post something. I should probably figure out where I'm going to be
Make
by
a
next.
decision, yeah, make a
Yeah,
choice.
by next Friday. But I just need to know where the people are willing to come and sign up. So it's that's the thing, because I'd love to pick a place. I mean, but if no one signs up, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm looking for. I usually post on my social media, which is on Instagram. I usually post under Lady Steno, and I will ask, where should I go next? And then I just tally up the votes. That's it. That's exactly what I do, and I just make sure that the weather will not be too cold.
Sure,
I
yeah,
will be there.
definitely. So your Instagram is Lady Steno.
Yes.
Your Facebook page is also Lady Steno.
Yes.
And Steno Speed Clinic will give us some good information. Then your YouTube channel, I think if you just go to ladysteno.com, it redirects to your YouTube channel.
Absolutely, yes.
What kind of videos do you have on there people might be interested in?
So lately, what have I been doing? Lately, I've been doing a podcast. So I wanted to ask you if you could definitely be on the podcast, because you're going to be so awesome on it. But I interview real-time court reporters, and they'll just talk about their steno journey from starting from when they started school, what theory they learned, how long it took them, and what made them decide to become real-time, and the steps that they took, and just really get a glimpse into what their life is like. And the reason I created this was because I knew it would be inspirational for the listeners, whether they're students or if they're reporters, because there's many reporters who have not provided real time, who are scared to provide real time. So I figure once they hear another court reporter who is similar to them in so many ways, maybe the same theory, maybe they've been working the same amount of years, that they will now make the jump, because that's what we need, is to really be real-time reporters. Our situation, as the fear that most stenographers have would be eliminated if they started providing real time. So that's some of the videos, and other videos is usually about like my practice routine, or things that I've realized from practicing, or things that I'm doing to master shorter writing. And I thought that's most of it. I did some reviews on certain products that I used for court reporting, and I should probably start doing more of that. But this year I'm focused, 2019, I'm focusing really on the entire Lady Steno brand, and just creating a lot of value for stenographers. And the podcasts are posted on my YouTube channel, which is, if you go directly, ladysteno.com will take you directly to it. And there's 4 podcasts out right now, and I post a podcast every week. So my challenges when I was my first year of reporting was thinking that I knew everything. That was and time management. Those were the biggest challenges that I had. And after I graduated, I worked for 5 years. And it wasn't until I went to the Mark Kissling Court Reporting Academy after 5 years of working, studied his theory for 9 months. Then I left his program. I finished the theory program. And then 2 months later is when I started providing real time. I think a reason a lot of the students who learned the Magnum Steno theory are able to provide real time so quick is because once you're phrasing like that, you're only stroking out a few words, like the technical words, the jargon, some of the names. So it's very easy to provide real time once you have mastered shorter writing.
All right, great. Yeah, I started providing real time in the 90s when it first came out. We were first starting to provide it, and I would just do it for free. I would set it up and just promote it So it's very possible to do, and I think everybody should that should be what we should strive for. And I wanted to ask you, before we go, to tell that story about when you were trying to get or you were asking an attorney if he wanted a rough draft.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I asked an attorney, it was during a deposition, and I asked an attorney at the end if he would, I try to upsell, because one court reporting agency, her firm owner, she told me, it's like you're a waitress. You ask them if they want soda, because the more their bill is, the bigger your tip is, So I was like, hey, do you want a rough draft? I could have that to you. And he told me that, no, I don't want a rough draft. Last few times I've ordered rough drafts from other court reporters, I've never been able to use them. They haven't been readable. It's just a waste. And I was sad about that. I was thinking, wow, so the incompetency of other court reporters has now affected my ability to earn money. And not only that, the attorney has lost respect for my product and the product of all court reporters. So that's an attorney right there who wouldn't even know the difference between a tape recorder or a stenographer. And he probably wouldn't care, because he's like, well, a tape recorder can't give me a rough draft, and neither can a court reporter. So it was that day where, and I was upset and things as well. That's when I created my first seminar, which was called Saleable Rough Drafts. And I got a group of court reporters together to attend my free seminar in person. I had 11 reporters show up in Miami, and I just went through how to make rough drafts, how to make it easy so that you can offer a rough draft at the end of every job, and attorneys will like it. So that was my first seminar. So a lot of the work I do, yes, it is in a way self-preservation, because we all affect each other. So when you turn in a transcript late, the attorney is not going to see, oh, it was Olivia, oh, it was Carmen. He's going to say, oh, it was that court reporter, So, and then if you're a minority too, oh, it was that man reporter, because men are minorities who court reporting, yeah. Or it was that Hispanic court reporter. You're making it bad for your own people. So that's why it's really, really important that we help each other. So rough drafts are $2 a page, $1 to $2 a page. But every state is different, and agencies are different on how they compensate the reporters. But if your writing is really cool, it's really clean, sending a rough draft is like free money. You go through it. You might take 10 minutes to look through it. You could have 100-page transcript, and you send it to an attorney. He says he wants the rough draft. You could send it to an attorney within less than an hour and be compensated $100 to $200. Plus, now he has to also pay for the transcript, which is whatever it cost.
Yeah, so, I actually love that. I love the response I get when they say, okay, can you send me a rough draft by tomorrow? And I say, I'll give it to you before you get to your car. And their expression is it's priceless. It's just, oh yeah, I'll send it to you, while you're on your way to the airport. You'll get it when you'll have it to read on the plane or whatever. And they're just, their faces, because they're very surprised most of the time. And I don't know, probably other reporters wouldn't like that because I'm ruining it for them.
That's what they say, yeah. Because you're setting the standard, but it's not that you're setting the standard high. That's what the standard should be. We are supposed to be writing at 225 with 95% accuracy. So why can't we get a rough draft? And also, we're supposed to be in control of the room and in control of the record. So don't say, oh, there was too much crosstalk, it's going to take me forever to do this. No, there should not have been any crosstalk.
Right. Definitely. And that's a subject for a whole other conversation. We could talk about how to control the room, which is very, very important. Yeah, I try to tell students whom I mentor, practice in front of a mirror, or practice when you're in a group of your family, speaking up and saying whatever you're going to say to stop the cross-talking. I used to say, oh, who wants to be on the record? Ha, ha, ha. But as I've gotten older, I just get a little bit more direct. And so great. Well, any last questions here? This is all wonderful, wonderful stuff. And I really appreciate your coming on here and talking to us. And I think most of these people here are students, although I know Carrie is a reporter. Oh, Olivia's a reporter now too. Congratulations, Olivia. Just got her CSR.
Oh, congratulations. Awesome.
And so she's ready to go. Any other questions anybody has right now? I will post this audio, or this. I will post this, and I'll let you all know where it is posted in case you want to share it with anybody. And check out Lady Steno's YouTube channel. Listen to all his podcasts. You will be very, very motivated after you listen to them. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on here and talking to us. And I really hope that your clinics fill up so that you'll come back to California and give us a few too here.
Okay. Definitely, I will. I will keep everyone updated, and I will be working on those finger drills.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.